Hello everyone. This is just a quick update on what I've been working on with this game. This area, I'm back on my island that I made earlier. So we're not in the testing arena where I work on a lot of mechanics, but we're back on the island. This area will look very different when the game is done, because we are now in the middle of main town or village that simply hasn't been built yet. I have built this one small peasant's cottage just to work out the style I want to use. Except for these wall textures, all of this that is used to make this, by the way, is found in an asset pack I released. Originally it was all going to be bespoke for this game, but, well, times are a little tough, so technically you can now buy the assets for the game even before the game is made, or possibly even if it isn't. The main thing I've been working on, and the thing that I've been working on involving code, is swimming. I did also make this nice shader for the water. It's pretty similar to a lot of the shaders you see tutorials for, but I added an extra twist. Instead of just using Voronoi noise with modified by time, I added gradient noise on top of the time, which causes it to be distorted and get these little curves. And then I also turned the light areas use those to also create a normal map, so it looks like you kind of have ripples where the light areas are. And then we go into the water. We can now swim. Before, if you went this, you would just walk along the bottom. But now we can swim, we can dive, and swim up. It has a buoyancy mechanic based on how much weight you're carrying. So if you're not carrying too much weight, you'll eventually just float to the top on your own. If you're carrying way too much weight, you may not be able to swim up at all. There is no bar for how much breath you have yet, but that will be coming later. The water also has drag, so between drag and buoyancy, if you jump into it, it may help break your fall, but not entirely. Well, not entirely if it's a long drop. So you can't just jump off a cliff into a puddle and expect to live, like some games. But it will, if it's deep enough, it will slow you down enough you may not die. And it is raining at the moment, so I do have weather. I actually do want to work some more on customizing and tweaking the weather. The other thing I've been doing is brainstorming characters. Really, to build this village properly, I need to know who lives here. I had a few ideas, but not enough to really build a whole village around, so a lot of my time has been brainstorming characters. I did also make a little app to try and help generate a bunch of traits in some of our characters, but I don't know how useful that will be, because what I've realized is coming up with characters is something that works better if you, from a less analytical and more playful mindset, where you can kind of play around with ideas for different characters and what they might be like. And looking at a bunch of numbers and lists of traits isn't really that good for that. But who knows, maybe once I have my list I can use it to come up with ideas for little quirks and so on for some of the characters I do add. But anyway, that's really all for today. The main thing is I just added the swimming. Yeah, I did want to kind of explain how the swimming works as far as swimming versus land. Some people might do this with an if statement between the two ways of moving, or some kind of switch statement. What I actually did is I used a delegate. So before, there was a method called move, which did your movement. That method is now renamed to land move, and move is the name of a delegate that when you're on land is land move. And when you reach a certain altitude, because in the overworld you just have a sea level, but when you go below a certain altitude it switches to swim mode. So it swaps out. Move gets reassigned to a different method called water move, and that's how that's set up to work. And if I wanted to say have like a fly or levitate mode, I could add that, whatever mode I wanted, sliding on ice mode. But that's basically what I've been doing, and hopefully I'll have more later. Thanks for listening, and have a great day. Bye.